Why, hello there, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to Jake's Story Time. I'm going to tell you guys a story. I'm going to read you a story from one of my great books full of stories. Let's begin. Once upon a time. After the end. Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land, Jake of the OneManBand is back again, and welcome to another edition of RWBY Episodic Review Breakdown Analysis, whichever you want to call it. But this time, we're not taking a look at one of the actual episodes of RWBY, we're taking a look at a World of Remnant video. And to be honest, this video wasn't really, I don't know, I'm not sure if it truly would fit into the World of Remnant sort of saga. You see, so far, the World of Remnant videos have been explaining how the actual world works, you know, how certain factions react to one another, how technology has been created, and how the Grimm reacts to things. But this one is completely different. It's actually going in and talking about the lore and the history of this world. And that's why I think it's even better than the previous ones we've been getting. You see, people are defined by the tales and the legends and the stories that they pass down to their children. And this is one of those stories. This, the story of the Four Maidens, is a fairy tale in the World of Remnant. And as we know, all fairy tales have some semblance of reality to them. They all started off as a true story at some point. Sure, there was embellishment later on, and most fairy tales are created in order to teach children lessons, but we know by watching the series that the Four Maidens fairy tale is true. It's based off of facts, because we know that these four maidens exist. Now, upon watching this video, I was actually very surprised, because if you guys have already seen it, I made a video a while back when this story was first brought up in the series, when Ozpin was talking to Pyrrha about it. I made a video that I sort of made my own assumptions and made a theory on how I thought the seasonal maidens would work in the world, what they would do, and who they pretty much were. And honestly, that video was pretty darn close. Although essentially this World of Remnant video is a sort of a more in-depth storytelling of what was stated in episode 6 of this volume, but still, just from the episode 6 condensed story, I was able to come up with all these ideas that were pretty much fleshed out in this video. But of course, I think that there was a few things new in there that I should address, and a few things that in my previous video I pretty much got wrong. First off, I really want to talk about how in the story it stated that the four maidens, all of them are on a journey, and you know, they're waiting for their sisters, or they're just waiting to all meet up, but all of them are on some form of journey. Now, what kind of journey are they truly talking about? Are they talking about the journey that's maybe the year, as in how the seasons change? Is that the journey they're talking about? Or is there something more important tied to this journey? Like, are they actually physically trying to go somewhere? Or are they trying to get to a certain plane of existence, or some type of scenario in the world? Maybe their journey is to acquire peace, to make peace in the world. We also learned that it is Fall who is the eldest sister. It wasn't Winter. That was one of the things I got wrong. But with Fall being the eldest, does that mean maybe she's the strongest out of all of them? So does this mean that Cinder can very much hold the most of all this power? Now, I'm not entirely sure, but we learned that Fall was the eldest sister. Also in the story, when we saw that the old man bestowed his magical powers onto the maidens, each one of them displayed different magical abilities. Winter used ice. Spring, she made a flower grow. Summer summoned fire, and Fall controlled wind flow. Now, due to what I said in my previous video on the Summer Maidens, I got pretty much 2 of them correct. I knew Winter was going to be attributed to ice, and Spring was going to be attributed to growth or to earth, because that's pretty much what she did. She used earth to make that flower bloom. But I got Summer and Fall mixed up. Summer is the one who is more of a pyro. She displayed firepower, and Fall was the one who displayed wind technique. Now, I'm not saying that each one of the maidens strictly has this one ability. No, it's not that. Each one of them has that. Each one of them has every ability, I believe, but each one of them has a certain preference, if you will. Like, they're stronger in this area, or they much rather prefer to use this kind of magic. But pretty much besides that stuff, everything that was pretty much stated in the video was either stated in the previous episode, or I pretty much came up with in my Seasons Maidens video. So, to be honest, this video didn't really have much to give me. But then, upon watching it again, I realized the story and the video may be called The Four Maidens, but they're not the main character. Who's the main character? The old man. You see, what I believe is that this video and this story, how it was placed right here, sure, it may signify that, oh yes, the Four Maidens are definitely going to be important and a cornerstone now in RWBY. But we pretty much already knew that from the previous episodes. We knew that they were going to be important, and we knew that they were going to be a new cornerstone to the series. But you see, in this video, it embellishes more the presence and the relevance of the old man. We learn that the old man was indeed an old and reclusive wizard. So he wasn't a god or some sort of guardian spirit. He was a man, a wizard. So, what I think is this means that far back in Remnant's history, humans were able to tap into magic. I mean, besides aura, they were able to use magic, but then maybe with the discovery of dust, they then transferred to using dust rather than magical abilities. Or perhaps magic is something that's rarer. You know, maybe only certain people can use it, and maybe you're born into it, like only certain people can have magic. But as I said, that's pretty much all ancient history to Remnant, and it may not even be relevant anymore. But what is important is that the wizard, the old man, he had magical powers. We also learn that the old man, the wizard, he had lived for centuries in this house. So we know that he's very old, but we don't know how old. All we know is that he's lived so long that he's cut himself off from the world. It's stated that at his house, he is hidden away from the dangers and the distractions of the world. Now, this also tells me that he positioned himself. He made his homestead in a place that was protected, possibly from the creatures of Grimm. As we know, the only way the kingdoms were able to stay kingdoms and stay strong is that they used natural barriers to help protect themselves from the creatures of Grimm. So this means that the wizard followed this same concept and built his homestead in a place where he can be protected. Now, it's also stated that his homestead is next to a great and mighty river in the forests of Remnant. And as we see in the background, there's mountain ranges in the background, and we see a lot of forest land. But you see, my friends, I believe we've seen this all before. We've seen those mountains, we've seen this river, we've seen these trees. Where have we seen it? Well, in the main setting of RWBY as of this moment. Beacon Academy. It is my theory that Beacon Academy was built on the very spot where the wizard's shack and homestead was. Let's think about it. We have everything there. We have the mountain ranges, the great and mighty river, we have the forests, but we also have the fact that the wizard's homestead was in a defended and natural barricaded area. And we know that Beacon is at one of those as well, because it is the only way it has been able to stand all this time. And also, who has been the only headmaster of Beacon Academy that we know of? Ozpin. Ozpin, who's based off the Wizard of Oz. Now I know what you guys are already thinking. You're already thinking, well, we already told you that the old man from the story could have been Ozpin and all this stuff. Yes, that is true, but I believe that Ozpin either is the old man / wizard from this story, or has built his persona himself to mirror the wizard. Let's look at the facts. We know that the wizard had lived for centuries, and we don't know if after he bestowed his magical powers to the maidens that he then started to age naturally like an old man, but we also know that Ozpin has been alive for a very, very long time. He stated that he's made more mistakes than any man, woman, or child on this planet. That would mean that he's been around for a while and he's made a lot of mistakes. We also learned from Glenda that he has had more experience than any of us combined. So he's been through a lot, either naturally or through just being in the world. But it would make more sense if he had just lived longer than them. Also, he shares a similar color scheme to Ozpin, the old man. He wears shades of green and like lime colored, and even parts of splotches of brown and white. Now, Ozpin's color scheme has indeed changed a little bit, but he still has the same basic color concepts, although the colors seem to have gotten a little darker. He has more darker shades of green and now has black type suits. And his hair is a different color. Ozpin's hair is silver and the old man / wizard's was white. But both of their eye colors are shockingly close to each other. It may just be coincidence, or it may be the fact that nails it right on the head. We'll just have to wait and see. And another thing I want to bring up is at the very end of this story, when it is stated that every year the maidens will come back to visit their old friend. We see that the old man now has a cane to support himself, and Ozpin has always had this cane on him, or in close proximity to him. It may be that the old man / wizard took up the cane once he bestowed his magical powers upon the young maidens, because he then felt mortal and he had to be aided by the cane in order to walk now. Something else really quick I want to bring up. Some of you guys may be thinking, well, if Ozpin was the wizard, then why doesn't he have some form of magical powers anymore? Well, we hear that in the story, the wizard he mustered every ounce of magic he could and gave it to the maidens. So it's almost as if he no longer has any magic because he has given it to these young girls. Or it could be that he bestowed a majority of all his magic upon them, but kept a little bit for himself, maybe to help him age more. I mean, like, not age and stay alive more. But one of the biggest things that I think ties the old man to Ozpin is, well, Ozpin's inspiration, the Wizard of Oz. What do we know about the Wizard of Oz? we know that he was a great and powerful wizard who had pretty much hidden himself away from the rest of the world and lived behind a curtain. Now we know that the old man in the story, he had cut himself off from the rest of the world and now lived alone in his home, behind his window and his doors, looking out onto the world. And then the Wizard of Oz is approached by 4 travelers: Dorothy, the Scarecrow, the Cowardly Lion, and the Tin Man. And through their adventures and their deeds, they help him break out of his shell and bring him back into the world. And what do the 4 maidens do for this old man? Why, they tell him to come outside and to rejoice in everything he has around him, and not to be cramped behind a curtain anymore. And here's one of the biggest things that I believe really confirms this theory. In Wizard of Oz, when they finally bring the Wizard of Oz out into the real world, what does he do? He doesn't truly have any magical powers, but he still is able to help the 4 travelers. He bestows gifts to all of them. He gives Scarecrow a brain, the Tin Man a heart, the Cowardly Lion courage, and he's able to help Dorothy go home. And what does the old man do to the 4 maidens who helped him come back into the world? He bestows upon them his magical power because he knows that the 4 maidens will use it better than he ever would. Because even though these 4 maidens seem to possess some form of superhuman or magical power by themselves already, they state that they don't do what they do to help people or to bring people out of their shell. They simply do it because they are able. And since they are able, they do it. These 4 maidens are the paragons of good. They are the type of person, they are the good Samaritan, the friendly neighbor, the person who goes out of their way to help others because they know that is the right thing to do and it is in their heart to do it. And that is why the wizard bestows his power onto them. Now, whether the wizard may be long gone and just a part of history, or if he is indeed Ozpin, I believe that the old man of the story was the focus of what this World of Remnant was talking about. Hey everybody, ended the video. I know it was kind of short, but to be honest, a lot of the stuff that I wanted to talk about with this was pretty much stated in the Seasonal Maidens video. So if you guys haven't watched that or just want a refresher, there's going to be a link in the description and possibly on the screen. So, in the end, I hope you did enjoy this video because not only was it sort of like a short recap of the actual video, but sort of also a theory video. Now, next week we're going to get back into the actual series of RWBY, and that's going to be fun. So, if you have crackpot theories, like about this, World of Remnant, or just RWBY in general, about anything in general, really, check out my Facebook page, not Facebook page, Facebook group, called Team Theory, on Facebook. Because that's where it is. Also, if you wish, you can check out my Patreon page, and special thanks to all my Patreon supporters, especially special thanks to Grant Allen Hill and Duncan Ishler. You guys are awesome. I love you all. Show you love. And to everyone else who has stayed this long, check out these other videos that I've done about RWBY. Be sure to like and favorite if you've enjoyed. Subscribe, of course, if you feel inclined to. And I'll see you guys next time I'm out there in YouTube land. Be a good person, tip your waitresses, keep moving forward, and I'll see ya next time. Yeah!